Fire! Fire! Everything's burning in nuclear blaze. Welcome. Today we're talking about nuclear blaze. So this is a little indie game. It's available on PC, PS5, PS4, Switch, and Xbox. And it's a nice little idea. You play as a fireman. Now, this isn't the first game to explore that kind of idea. I think the oldest game I can think of that explored the kind of idea of being a fireman was a Japanese SNES game, I believe. It was made by Human Entertainment, the people who did the original Clock Tower, if I remember correctly. Feel free to correct me in the comments. Anyway, Nuclear Blaze, you play as a fireman. You are summoned forth to a location that is blazing in flames, and nobody knows what the fuck's going on. So you and a team of firemen, who are quickly lost as you delve deeper into this facility, are here to put out the flames. Now, Nuclear Blaze offers 3 modes. You have Kitty Mode, Normal Mode, and Hold My Build Mode. Now, Kitty Mode is a interesting little mode that the dev created just for his little child. It is an incredibly friendly, simple, and impossible way to die mode. It does not use the normal stages that are in the other 2 modes. It is its own simple little thing. And, I mean, it wasn't really necessary, but I mean, it's a little cutesy thing for the kidsies. And it can get you accustomed a little with the general idea of the gameplay. But at the same time, the gameplay is also incredibly simplified and automated in it versus the other 2 modes. Now, what is the difference between the main game, the normal, and Hold My Build? Did I say build? Build. Anyway, so the big differences are you get a few additional techniques in Hold My Build, and there are new areas that are locked off in normal mode that you get to explore or forced to go through in Hold My Build. So it's a longer, more extensive version of the normal mode with new abilities that you don't get in normal mode. But when it comes down to it, you have the same task. Find what's causing the fire and put it down. Water it down completely. As a fireman, that's your main weapon, your hose. You have a water tank, a hose, and you are portably putting out these flames. And it gets harder and harder. Like, many of the rooms have uncontrollable fire that you have to get under control. Now, what's interesting about the game is that it has a mechanic of the fire spreading. You don't just put the flames out and they're gone. Oh, the fire can explode. So you have to get the sources, put them down, and make sure they don't reborn. Because I can tell you, and Hold My Build, it really holds no punches. Fire will spread like wildfire and just toast your ass. Now, you really only have 3 things at your disposal. You get a wall dodge that helps you get through a few little obstacles, but it's a very minor dodge. Overall, you are a very fragile individual. You can die in 1 hit. Now, interestingly, this game does have a accessibility mode where you can control the speed, the spread of fire, and how much water is consumed, infinite water, like you could essentially turn God mode on and stuff. Like, it gives you a lot of power to control your difficulty of the game, which is, it's handy if you happen to have trouble. This isn't too crazy of a game. Hold My Build does get pretty hard though. But normal mode, most people shouldn't have much trouble with the normal mode. Overall, once you get the general gist of how to play through the game, essentially the scenarios you'll get is you'll get an area, it's on fire, and you need to find the different sources of the fire and get them out. And you'll use not only your hose, but different contraptions to help shoot water around to ensure the fire stays out. And that's how a lot of later rooms are. You'll be turning a lot of spouts and that on to get flames to stay off. So, generally, that's the majority of the gist of the game. Now, there are secrets. There are a few secrets you can find, and the cats, which I want to specifically talk about, because the cats, in my test of the game, were broken on PS4. Now, for the Desert Play people, somebody tested the Switch and the PS5 versions of this game, and they apparently did not have problems with the cats. So I'm not sure if they just had good luck and I had bad luck, or if there was something specifically wrong with the PS4 version. I'm not sure. But the way it displayed the cats being unlocked on the selection screen, and at the end of the game where you get a computer that will tell you how many you saved, didn't match up. And while trying to save cats to further change that seemed kind of buggy. So there's something wrong with the whole saving the cat mechanic thing on the PS4 version, at least. I would love more information about the other two versions, but I wasn't really able to get more information on that regard. Now, keep in mind, this is the pure physical build we're talking about. I would assume if you updated it, it probably works better, obviously. But I'm just putting that out there, because, one day probably will be useful information when we no longer can update it on at least PS4 and such. It only leads to a kind of a goofy little ending thing, so it's not really a big loss. It doesn't really affect the actual story content of the game, so it's not really a big deal. But it's just an extra little Easter egg, and it is attached to a trophy if you're into getting all the trophies, just to toss it out there. Overall, though, I really enjoyed this little game. It's very simplistic looking, but it's actually really keeps you on your toes with the file mechanic in that. I would love to actually see a sequel to this concept of this game, and maybe make it a little bit more open world-ish or Metroid-ish. Like, the game is presented a very stage-by-stage linear kind of set, so you don't really have freedom to backtrack and stuff. I would be very interested to see this kind of mechanic and a Metroidvania kind of design. I really dig it. So I would love to see the developer try another game with this formula. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same universe or storyline or that. And speaking of which, we didn't really dab too much on the story. You're going through a facility that's on fire. Okay, we kind of did. But there is a little bit more mystery to it. Because as you explore, you find that this isn't just some wildfire. There's something really strange going on with this location, as it seems to be a very top secret place. So that's the kind of gist on that. But yeah, it's a little platformer fire thing. It's fun. It's nice. I like it. If you see what you like, you like. But so what do I think the value of this game is? It is $9.99 digitally on everything. If you want DRM free, it's on itch.io. Oddly enough, not on GOG. What's up with these games lately not being on GOG but having a DRM free version on an opposite site? I mean, I don't have a problem with that. It's just kind of odd, especially considering the censorship issue that's happening right now. GOG seems to be the only one really putting their foot down in that regard, so... But that's a whole different topic. Anyway, back on the main subject. Obviously, I played the physical version on the PS4 for this particular review. Now, this game goes between about $15 to $30, depending on what version console you want physically. Now, personally... if you play all the content, normal and hold my bio mode specifically, I feel like there's a decent amount of content. It has a nice array of puzzles and that, and it's pretty tight on, it's not super complicated. There isn't, this shit ton of elements and mechanics you got all along. It's pretty simple mechanics, but it's kind of it's simple to understand, hard to master kind of thing, especially in hold my bio mode. So it's really a pretty tight game, honestly. I think it's very well rounded. I think this game definitely is worth a nice $19.99, $20. I think it's actually being sold to you digitally at a super low price. I think this is actually worth a bit more because I like the concept. The firefighter kind of thing isn't really a common thing, and this is really a nice one, honestly. I think it's very nice. Again, I would love to see this concept again. So I think this is actually pretty actually underpriced, honestly. Now, again, you can find loose copies of this pretty cheap. Obviously, the PlayStation ones or the more cheaper ones. You know, Switch usually has that more premiumness to it. Luckily, Without Games provided all these physical versions, and you can still buy them, and they were available for retail, so they weren't limited. So this is a pretty easy game to get your hands on physically if you want. And again, you know, it's $9.99 on all the digital platforms that you would like to check it out, and available, like I said, deal free on itch.io. So you have lots of good options that, honestly, I would check out this game. Firefighter games aren't a very common thing, and good firefighter games are also not very common. So I would check it out personally. I recommend it. I liked it. I found it interesting. That's just me. But if you have any other questions you'd like to ask, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I will get with you. Now let's get into spoilers about what was going on here. What's happening? What's the main plot? Well, it's a possessed chair that makes fire. So, like, this facility, if you find the little Easter eggs in that, it kind of mimics the, what is that, the SCP, I think it's called, with, like, the government agency buildings with the secret monster things and shit that are abnormal and things. So, like, there's some parody secrets you can find through the facility that give you the idea that's what this is. And, yes, what's causing the fire is a SCP living chair entity thing that causes fire. Just tons of fucking fire. You learn about it on the computers and stuff and that, and little bits in the later part of the game. Very silly and goofy, to be honest. But yeah, it works. Like, this isn't a super serious, realistic looking game in that, so it's very chibi pixelated in that. So, but I liked it. Again, I would love to see the Quato do another one personally. But anyway, I recommend it. Check it out. Please go look at it. And I'll see you next time. Hopefully not in a burning facility here at the Proving Grounds.